Hey guys, how's it going? Alright, so this may look a little different to some of you people who have followed my latest content or songs and covers, etc, etc. Though to some of my older fans, they may remember back when my channel used to be a little more artistically inclined. Not saying that singing's not art, just that, I used to draw more weeaboo cats. Which, incidentally, is what today will be about. So this video is actually going to be a recreation of a very old video that I made called Cammie's Class Episode 1. I think it was How to Draw a Cat. Which is what we're going to be doing today. Except, since then I've gotten a lot better at art. My audio quality has a lot more clarity than it used to, and it's infinitely more beautiful. And even my video quality, which instead of using a camera that's meant for, recording video, like I was before, I'm using a phone. But, technology these days. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, what you're gonna need. Paper. Obviously, you're gonna need some paper. Now, you don't have to go out and buy some sort of super expensive sketchbook, because no matter how much money you spend on it, it's not going to make you a better artist. It'll just leave you a lot poorer and potentially hungrier. So, we're just gonna start off with some normal printer paper. This is your friend. It might be a little weird to caress your friends like that. Secondly, a pencil. Now, this is probably like the most important thing you will own in your life, but you'll also lose it 50 million times. You don't need to have any fancy pencils. You may own some fancier pencils, a whole heap of, various, gradients isn't the right word, shades and etc. Oh, well, actually, geez, I'm missing like, this is to prove my point from earlier. But the thing is, again, just like with the sketchbook, it's not going to make you a better artist, and also you have to stop and, shave them. So yeah, we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to stick with a very standard mechanical pencil. Oh, geez, my paper is just cut. Oh, geez, I'm shedding hair on it. Okay, so make sure your paper is clean. That's just an bonus tip. Now, the one other thing we're going to need today is a rubber. Oh, geez, missed. Now, the pencil that you have may come with a rubber. Mine does not. Oh, it does. But I would advise sticking to one of these ye old not inner pencil rubbers, because 5 out of 10 times these ones will be rubbish and they will smudge your work and it will make you cry a million tears. But if you're one of those people that's been blessed by the traditional art gods, you may have a beautiful rubber on the back of your pencil. And, if that's the case, feel free to use it. Okay, so since this is a rehash of the old video, what we're going to be doing is sketching a cat. Oh, wait, that was the title of the video. So, first things first, we're going to start off with a circle. We're not going to bother using... Oh, jeez, it's dirty again. We're not going to bother to use any sort of tool or anything to make it a perfect circle. You're just going to keep going 50 million times until you get sort of a circle-ish shape. See, this is a slightly flattened circle. Whatever. Make sure to keep your lines light, because this is something that you're not really going to want to see much of later on. I think I actually mentioned this in my original video, but I don't want to put anybody through that. So the circle itself, this is the base of the picture. This isn't something that you're going to see later on, because the rest of the picture will sort of be popping out from it. This is just, a guide so that you know where to put things. A lot of people will avoid this, and many times when it's with cats drawings, you do your little anime fringe. You've got an ear here, and people will make the mistake of attaching the ear to, the edge of the hair, so it actually sticks out way further that way than it needs to, and I've just sort of ruined this paper, so I'm just... I always used to ignore the circle, but I'm glad that I didn't, because once I actually started doing the bare bone skeletons of things, my pictures got infinitely better. More importantly, they became more accurate. They didn't have weird little floaty ears out the side. But yeah, regardless of whether you think you need it or if it will help, or if you think you're past it, as I did for a really long time, you should do it, because it will make things better and it will improve it in the long run. Okay, so now we have a circle. This is a good start. Now, a lot of people will start with the face first when drawing this sort of picture. I definitely used to. Now it's actually one of the last things that I draw, and that's not necessarily just with cats, because I draw humans a lot more than cats nowadays. But for the sake of this picture, we're going to do the face as one of the last things, because if you add the ears and the fur and the cheeks and everything, then you'll have the perfect position for the face instead of having to sort of build everything around it. So At this point, I would also suggest doing the little fringe fur if you're going to have some weeaboo fringe fur, which is, you know, half the fun. To save that until after you've done the ears, because like I was saying earlier, it will help you position the ears better. So this cat's going to have some sticky uppy ears, not floppy. So we'll just draw some basic lines. I'm just going to stick with really, really straight lines for now. Oh, geez, I curved it accidentally, but you get what I'm saying. So we're going to start about here. There's going to be like a 3/4 section at the top of this circle. That's where we're going to want to start the ears. You're going to have a nice gap between the two, especially if you want that little animu fluff. We'll do a mark about halfway up this circle that you can sort of bring this to, if not a little bit higher. We'll do that on both sides just so that it's even. See, if you have a ruler or something like that, I don't. I have a stick of blue tack I could probably use, but you know, I'm not going to. Just to get these lines straight, just so that you know that they'll meet in the same places. That can be really handy. After a while, you'll probably get used to it. You sort of get a feel for it. You won't need to do that anymore, but it can be super duper useful as a tool to start with. So we're going to want to match it on this side. It doesn't matter if it's not perfectly even, so we'll just get one from here. We'll bring it up and meet in the middle. I still curved it. Oh my goodness. All right, so if they don't match perfectly, that's fine. I just want to sort of get them so that they match about right here. Now that I've drawn that line, I'm gonna rub it out again. Okay, so we have the bare bones. It's starting to look like a cat, and that is good. That is what we're after. Now, this is not going to be an accurate representation of what a real cat looks like. This is a real cat. This is my cat. Her name is Zelda. She never shuts up. But instead, this is going to be more of an animu cat, I guess you'd say. There's a whole style for it now. You know, you can call it furry if you want to. You could just call it a cartoon cat. You know, whatever you want to call it, that's fine. But that's more the thing we're looking for. Like, if you're one of those people that watches animated warrior cats videos, which I was and kind of still am, then this will be the kind of style that a lot of them will be using. It's really good for animations and stuff. Okay, so down here, we're going to sort of match these lines down the bottom. This is going to be a mark for about where the neck will start. So from these marks that we've put here, you can, you know, the top or the bottom one, because you only really needed one, I just drew two. We're going to do 2 lines that come out and meet in the middle like this. So it's sort of another triangle that's coming along, just like the ears, but a lot less extreme. So we'll just try and match it over here. And again, this isn't the final product. This is just the bare bones of what it's going to look like. Yeah, don't be afraid to fix it a million times until it's sort of more what you're after. There we go. That's a little closer. Okay, so next up is the fun part. We're going to start adding some fluff, and this is good. Anybody who likes cats has got to like the fur. Unless you're allergic, in which case, you know, that's fair. So there are multiple types of anime floofs. Oh, hang on. Here, I got this paper out again. So a lot of people will just sort of go with some floof that sort of goes above the top, and then, you know, there's ears as well. But other people will go with something a little more extreme that'll sort of hang down like a fringe, which is infinitely more weeaboo. Today we're going to go for a gentle in-between, leaning a little bit further towards the first one, but, you know, still within reason for the second one. This is something that will change with your character, whatever character you're drawing. A lot of characters will have more fur than others, so, you know, you can sort of variate this as much as you want. So we'll start with one flick up, because that is always hecka cute. Then we'll start with a second one that sort of goes a little bit longer, a little bit bigger. It gets progressively bigger. Okay, now it's starting to look a little bit like the Sydney Opera House. And this line here, so the next line that we're meeting along is actually going to be a little bit in the circle. So we've started actually moving into the picture. Okay, so that's that one. Then we'll do one more going down that sort of just fades into nothingness. So this is just like attached to the head. Oh, you know, never mind. I'm just gonna make it another little spike. Okay, so that's what we're gonna stick with for the fluff. Like I said, for the purposes of your own character, you can make it as big and dramatic as you like. If you are going to make it super big and dramatic, I would suggest leaving it until a little while later, until you're done with more of the face, but this is fine for what it is. All right, now the backs of ears are always fluffier than the insides, because the insides are usually, you know, that creepy skin that doesn't have any fur on it, what naked cats would look like. So we're going to do just a few little zigzags of fluff just at the back of the ear. And we'll do it on this side as well. It doesn't really matter what it looks like, as long as it's a little fluffy, nothing too over the top. And then we're going to, see this point that we've done here? We're going to ignore it a little bit, and we're going to bring this ear around and curve it. So you can see I've brought it so it's in line with the corner. Well, I mean, mostly. And then we're going to do the same thing coming down. So we're going to actually curve it so that it sticks out a bit. It might actually go outside the line that you've drawn. That is okay. You are not following anybody's laws right now. All right, and then you can add like 1 or 2 little fluffs at the end if you want there to sort of attach it to the cheek. We'll do the same on the other side. Bring it round, make it nice and round, make it nice and fat. That's cute. Fatter it is, the cuter it is. There we go. So we've already got it looking a lot more weeaboo. I might have added a bit too much fluff, but freaking whatever. For the inside of the ear, you're gonna wanna follow a similar line, except, so probably like, not even a centimeter, it depends how big your picture is. A little bit into your ear, draw just like a dot. This is where the ear is gonna, you know, meet on the inside. We'll do the same one over here just before I get started so I don't lose my way. Now, it's probably easier if I start on this side. From about here, so we're talking about 3/4 in maybe. I'm not good at maths. You wanna draw a line from that dot you just drew to this one. So you see it's a lot thinner up here, but it gets a lot thicker down the bottom of the ear so that it matches up. Do the same thing over here. This one might be a little harder because of the fluff. You can sort of ignore the fluff, do a really light line through it even if it helps. Yeah, see, I sort of missed, so I'm just gonna keep going, ignore it. Excellent. All right, so on the other side of the ear, so this side, you're gonna wanna do that, but a lot thinner, so it meets a lot closer to the edge. Just bring it all the way around in the same shape as the side of the ear. And then you can leave a little bit more down here. So see how it gets thicker on this side? You can make it a little bit thicker on this side as well if you want to, in comparison to the edge of the ear. Just make it nice and round and it'll be beautiful. Excellent. This is a cute pair of ears and head. I would adopt this cat. Hashtag always adopt. All right. Now you've got this line here as well. Now you can choose to close the inside of the ear off. I usually don't. I'm sort of happy for a halfway thing. So we'll do some fluff, just like I did the fluff on the head, you know, because I haven't added enough of that already. Do the one sticking up, and then maybe a couple sticking down. I mean, I said I didn't want to close it, but I've kind of closed it. A lot of people will do a lot of fluff here. I'm sort of going to do some lines later on. Oh, I guess I may as well do them now. Just like one sticking up like this and another sticking down. I don't even know what this is meant to be representative of. Maybe the shape of the cartilage, sort of something like that. Or the whiskies. You can do little whiskies sticking out of the ears because, you know, that's something the cats actually have. Not that we're trying incredibly hard for realism right now. Okay, at this point, we're down to the cheeks again. This is the fun part. Now, as you may be able to guess, based off of this picture so far, I like to make my cats really fluffy. Even if they're not a long hair, it's, you know, good fun. So, from the same point that you met down to the ear earlier, do another sticky uppy fur. Yeah, that's the way. And I'm gonna do another one over here. And then we're gonna wanna do some downward fur, just sort of to meet it up to the point that you made earlier. Okay, then bring those spikes back up, like this. Sort of like, you know, how freaking Grey Stripe looks in the manga. I know some of you will get that. And then from there, I'm going to bring it back in. So we're doing sort of like a semicircle going up, ignoring this line a little bit, but still coming back down, doing like an S shape over here, I guess, to bring it back around and meet it here at the little neck bit that we made earlier. Look, I'm gonna add a little bit of extra fluff over here because why the heck not? You know, I really should have like seen if I could still draw cats before making this video. At this point, we've pretty much got a fluffy cat head. This is a pretty solidly fluffy cat head. It's got most of what it needs. My cat, for the sake of nostalgia, is going to be wearing a bandana because, you know, that's important. Some of you might still care about why that's important. So for the bandana, I'm just going to draw one line down here, bring it up sort of like a triangle, go over a little bit just, you know, because materials and stuff. On this side, a bit further out, so it looks like it's coming around the back of the neck. So don't connect the bandana or the scarf or whatever you're drawing at the point that the neck meets. Do it a little bit behind, because that way it'll look like there's actually fabric or material sort of going behind the neck like that. Then we'll go down for one fold, then another. Do it on the other side, except a little more angled down instead of across, just so that you get a sense of direction. You know, I'm actually not that much better at drawing cats now than I was back then. Awkward. Okay, so for the bandana, I'm gonna meet it again right in the middle. So same sort of thing we did with the ears, making it thicker at the bottom. Just meet the two lines at the same point that you've drawn this little point. Gonna give it a nice little rounded thing because, I don't know, it's cute. And then because fabric, I'm gonna do this line again and then give it this so it looks like folded fabric. Look, you can just copy that. It's fine. I don't copyright own that. Just gonna add what would be a circle, but is not a circle because it's behind it. So it's like a semicircle. And then two sort of teardrop shapes. We're doing some Animu sweat beads at the back to look like the back of her bandana. And then in the middle, do a couple of lines just for like stretched fabric. Excellent. All right, some of you might have an idea of who's going on right now, but you know. Okay, so next up, normal cats have a lot of chest fur. Weeaboo cats have even more chest fur. That's how you can tell their gender. Well, you know, unless they identify otherwise, that's fine too. So in the same way that you did the fringe fur earlier, I was trying to think of the word. I like to do one up just so that it's, you know, sticking up from the chest. Normally I would bring this around through here, but because she's wearing a bandana, it's kind of cut off. So maybe that was a bad decision on my part. But for the sake of drawing this character, we're going to do one up, and then the rest of the fur should really go down. Like, you don't want the chest fur to stick out too much, and don't make it too extreme. We'll try and stick it to just this side. I probably should have pointed out that this video was like an anthropomorphic cat as well, but I mean, I guess it could be either. We're gonna do a similar thing on the other side, but a lot less extreme. So just remember, when drawing fluff, curves are your friend. Fluff that is just, I need that paper again. Fluff that just looks like this isn't going to look very friendly. Looks like you're going to hurt yourself. But if you do the same thing and instead do curves, sort of more like blades of grass, make it sketchier because it's going to look softer regardless. That looks infinitely nicer to touch than that. So yeah, remember to keep your fur nice and rounded. Excellent. Okay, this is starting to look like a friendly kitty cat. From the point that it would meet. Normally, this would be the neck area. You can give it a little bit of a neck, but don't go too overboard unless you're trying to go for some sort of Adventure Time noodle arms, noodle neck sort of view. Go around here. We're going to make them north and round. Yeah, this looks like it could be a sitting down cat or a anthropomorphic cat. It could be either at this point. I'm going to sort of leave that up to you guys. If you want me to do a full body cat later, we'll just leave that to suggestions, I guess. This is supposed to be a recreation of an old video, so I don't want to take it too much further than I did that time. And I'm super lazy. All right, here's just a general rule for drawing, especially if you're starting out. Do not be afraid to screw up, and do not be afraid to draw something that you don't think is perfect. A lot of the time people will basically give up because they feel like they can't draw it the way they imagine it. No artist can draw perfectly the way they imagine. I could imagine like the perfect image in my mind that I wanted to draw, and no matter how I drew it, it would probably come out a little different than how I intended. Whether or not I like it better than how I imagined it, that's, you know, up to opinion, but the point is, don't be afraid to screw up and don't be afraid to sort of make it a learning process. It's okay to draw something sort of subpar by your own standards if it means that you're getting the practice in and that you are drawing, because that is the most important thing. If you're drawing, that means you've already won. I say that like it's a competition. It's very much not a competition. You should draw because it's fun. All right, so we've basically at this point got the whole head and shoulders thing down, which is pretty much the extent of what this video is going to be. I'll probably add a tail as well afterwards, but you know, that remains to be seen. So this is the bit everyone's been waiting for. We're going to do some eyes. Drawing some lines from the ear points that we drew, like the start of the ears earlier down to the neck, you're going to get a nice guideline of where it should be. And remember to make these super duper light so that you can rub them out later, because you don't want all these lines all over your cat's face. We're probably going to need one, you know, I did these two lines down here. I'm going to do a third one just sort of at this point, about 1/3 down the cheek fluff. Sounds like a very technical term. Just so that we know where the nose is going to be. And the nose should, at this point, because this cat is mostly facing forward, the nose should be in the middle of the face. If your cat's head is slightly tilted one way or the other, the nose should reflect that. It should be slightly one way or the other. The nose is going to be a great indication of where the rest of the face is going to go. So we're going to start with that. So in about the area that you've drawn with your line, draw one line across. Don't make it too big unless you freaking want to, I guess. I'm great at advice. And just make it a little triangle. Make it a flat triangle. So you want this side of the triangle, the top bit, to be longer than either of the sides meeting each other. See, I have angled mine a little bit, actually. My cat looks like she's facing this way a bit, but that's freaking my fault. I like to make the corners round just because I think it adds an element of kawaii desu-ness, as the experts call it. All right, so we have a nose. This is an achievement. Achievement unlocked. Now we're going to do some eye. Now also, you may notice I didn't actually draw this nose in line with these lines very accurately, even though they are super useful and they will help you. If you feel like something doesn't look right based on your lines, you can ignore it. Like, there's no law holding you in place here. You can draw it however you want. It is just a useful reference, especially when drawing faces. And again, these lines that I've drawn, these are going to be more close to the center of the eye than where I'm going to start drawing it. So for the sake of how I'm going to draw these eyes, which I haven't decided yet, I'm going to draw two just ovals right now, just a bit off from the eye. Now, because my cat is facing this way a bit, this eye is going to be a little bit thinner than the other one, not by much. It should not really be smaller this way. That always looks kind of weird, but it should definitely be a little bit thinner just to give the appearance that she's looking this way. That way. I've drawn this one a little bit close, so I'm just gonna bring it over a bit. Honestly, the length between the eyes and the nose is questionable at best. But again, it's up to you. Draw a couple of faces, see how you feel about it, test it out. It's fine to rub it out and start again if you want to. That is why it's best to always sketch really lightly, and then as soon as you're happy with it, then you start putting a little bit more pressure in. So I've got two ovals now. This is where the eyes are going to be. This is where the whites of the eyes are going to be. So for the sake of this one, we're going to start about halfway up, and then I'll start following the oval that I've drawn. I'll make it a little bit thicker now just because, you know, I like where the oval is, so I'm pretty positive that this is where I want the eyeball. And then we'll bring it back down, and it meets about the same place. But you want to keep going and bring it around a little bit, but not necessarily all the way. I've brought it about halfway across down the bottom. I just realized my hand was in the way the whole time. Dang, this is the worst tutorial ever. All right, maybe you'll be able to see it better on this side. So from the same spot, I'm just going to use this as a reference for where I did, but it was pretty close to this top line. We'll go up because I'm still not 100% happy with where this eye was. I'm just gonna bring it out a little bit. Use the outer line of my circle, my oval, to follow. Yep, and bring it back in. Bring it around town. About the same amount as the other one. Generally speaking, it should look mostly symmetrical, except for, you know, the tilted head, which I accidentally did. Honestly, that's a force of habit. I always do like 3/4 heads. It is the prettiest angle of any face. Even when I take selfies, it's always 3/4. All right, now we have the outline of the eyeballs. If your cat has eyelashes, if they're a girl, if they want to be a girl, if they want to be girly, give them some eyelashes. You can do little, you know, straight ones. You can do little flicky ones that look more like this fur. You know, do it however you want. My characters tend not to have eyelash. Did I say eyebrows? I was talking about eyelashes. Either way, my characters tend not to have eyelashes. I just think it looks sort of cuter without, unless they're just like really pointy, like rounded ones. Basically, what I'm getting at for the differences is the difference between Rarity and Rainbow Dash. Those are the eyelashes. You don't have to do as many as Rarity, obviously, but I just mean the curved ones versus the straight ones. I guess I'm just gonna post some pictures. That will make more sense. All right. I was like, once you're happy with these, but I'm still going, so. Okay. Once you're happy with these, finally, we're gonna draw the insides of the eyes, because this is just the white. This isn't all pupil. That will be very, very desu. Too desu, even. Okay, so I'm just trying to think of where I want them. For this eye, we're gonna have the pupil pretty much right in the middle. Now, draw an oval again pretty much the same shape. You can make it a little bit rounder and wider if you want than the outside of the eye. It looks kind of terrifying. You know what? I'm gonna try that again. Oh, geez, see, I was doing it too dark. I was too confident. All right, for this one, we'll make it a little bit closer to the edge. And I've also made it a lot bigger than that last oval. Like I said, never be afraid to screw up. Best people do it. Every picture that you see has probably had Control Z 50 million times. I wish I had it right now, but I don't. Now with this one, because the cat has her eyes turned this way, and like I was saying earlier, how you want the eye to be a little bit more narrow than before, the pupil also is a little bit closer to the edge. I don't know if that made any sense the way I described it. I don't know. Now, I'm not gonna, when I draw the rest of this oval, it's not going to go outside of the guide that I drew earlier. It's gonna come around and follow it, just because that is the limitation for her eyeball that I've left. Because I had to bring it down, I'm gonna bring this one around a little bit to match it. There we go. Sort of go back and fix things as you go until you're happy with it. I love the way my advice is just do it until it's good. 10 out of 10 tutorial. Now, just like the outside of the eye, this one can be thinner because it's on this side, but they should be about the same height, just because otherwise that literally doesn't really make much sense. Okay, I'm happy with those. Happy-ish. Like, I mean, I've been happier. If I have a giant bowl of carbonara, I would be happier than I am with these eyes. Look, hopefully yours look better, but that's fine. Okay, so in the top left corner, we'll say for this picture, I'm going to draw some little circles in the eyes. I say little, but actually it was pretty big. In the exact same spot. These are the desu shines. This is how you make your cat look desu. If you don't know what that means, then I can't help you. Do another oval, full of these ovals inside the eye, not going over the shine that you've just drawn. And I'm gonna fill it in as well, actually. Oops, I went inside the circle, dang. I'm just gonna like draw inside the circle to make it a little bit smaller to cover my mistake. All right, and then we do the same thing over here. Copy the last two ovals, just, you know, pretend you've held shift and made it smaller. Digital art jokes, references, you know, close enough. Make it nice, make it ovally. Make it match. There we go. Now we've got the insides of some eyeballs. That's like the pupilist pupil. Was the other? This bit is the iris, I think. That's the color. I don't freaking know. I'm here to draw, not to be an optometrist. All right. Now, I just did that without even telling you what I was doing. On the inside of the eye, I like to draw a little rounded line here. This is basically going to differentiate the darker color of the eye to the lighter color of the eye. Now, you can color in the eye however you want, but this is just one that is easy and it looks good for sketches. So now that you've split those up into two just by doing a sort of curved arch in between, you're going to want to, in the top half, start really dark. So almost the same shade as the inside of the eye. So you want that to be kind of black. Start kind of dark. And then, because this is really dark in the middle, you can just go over it. Gradually do it a little bit lighter as you go down, sort of to make a gradient. Go over it like 50 times until you're happy with it. And then, you know, copy the same thing on the other side. You will inevitably make one of them look really good and then the other one won't match. So you're going to want to go over it like 3 times until they're a similar shade. And then in the bottom part of it, just do some really light lines. You can even leave it white if it looks good. But I just like to differentiate it from the light shine up here. If you want to make your cat extra desu, basically do the same thing you did down here, but make a little one down here and then do all of the insides behind that as well. That'll just, you know, add a little bit extra cuteness to it. Okay, so now for the mouth. The last cat that I drew in one of these videos was super duper angsty, so this one's going to be happy. Even if you want to do edgy cats, because, I mean, that's what this is all about. So what you're going to want to do is you want to get the McDonald's logo, turn it upside down, and squash it really flat. I mean, I could have said like a W, but nah, Macca's. I'm hungry right now. I don't know if you can tell. So for the sake of this, I like to actually, instead of just doing, I need that paper. Instead of just doing a perfect W like that, again, because it's a little bit angled, it's nice to make this one on this side just round and cute, and then this one over here, maybe make it a little bit longer, sort of start off the same for the same semicircle If you want to, actually, that's a good idea. Jeez, I just thought of it. If you want to do 2 really light circles next to each other, then you're going to know where you want the lines to be. Start in the middle, which should be at the exact point of the nose, which isn't that, but close enough. Bring this one around. Super duper cute. But I like to make this one a little bit longer sometimes, depending on the angle of the cat. I don't know. That wasn't a really good example, but I think you might get what I mean. See how it's a little bit longer? It's more stretched out on this side than it is in the middle. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, but I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. But because she's facing this way, this one's going to be a lot shorter and it's going to come around a lot sooner. Now I'm just going to add on the end of this one a little bit of a line like that, because how much cuter is it just with that? Oh, it's so cute. What a cutie patootie. You can do that on both sides, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to bring this one around and up a little bit more. It's cute. That's all you need, really. Okay, we're almost there, guys. Now, because this cat looks very, very cartoony, we're going to have some eyebrows. They're not going to be big, thick, bushy eyebrows, but they're going to be eyebrows. This really helps with cartoony styles and anime styles, just because it adds a whole new level of expression, and it's going to be easier to do different sorts of feelings on the face of your cat. So because she's so happy, we're just going to do an arch. So sort of like you were doing a perfect bridge shape again, but cut really short. So starts off long, and it looks like you're about to bring it down again, then you stop and you're like, whoa, slow down. That's where it finishes. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. A lot of people will choose to bring these eyebrows through the fur. Some people will not. Because cats don't really have eyebrows, I feel like they don't have to follow the laws of physics. So it's fine for it to just sort of go through the fluff. That's whatever. I was trying to think of things that this cat was missing, and I realized it doesn't have any whiskers, and that's problematic. If a cat doesn't have whiskies, it doesn't know if it's going to fit through holes or into bowls and vases. Now, there are 2 different types of whiskies I like to do. I like to do whiskies that just stick out, like they're not even attached to the head. That's probably how I normally do it. And in fact, that's probably how I'm going to do it for this. But for the other kind, let's just finish this cat in 5 seconds. That's perfect. You can do them from here because that's where cats actually have their whiskers from. Or you can do it just sort of from in here because that's how anime cats have some of their whiskers. A lot of cats have whiskies coming out of their, well, all cats have whiskies coming out of their ears, but anime cats do as well. But it's up to you. They also have them up here, but I mean, it looks kind of weird. Cats are weird. But for the sake of this one, we're going to have weird floating whiskies, because if they don't have to, I mean, if they have eyebrows, they can freaking have whatever they want. All right, and this cat is looking pretty freaking adorable, if I do say so myself, which I just did. So for the eyes, this is at this point you've pretty much drawn yourself a cat. Like this is a solid 10 out of 10 picture, but we can make it an 11 out of 10 picture. I told you I wasn't good at maths. So to make it even better, we're just gonna add a little bit of shading. This will just be a little bit of extra fun to meet up my video. So at the top of the eyes, draw the oval shape again, sort of follow it, but instead of following it perfectly, we're gonna, and this is really light, guys, you wanna make this super duper light, meet the edge, like the side, like this, just sort of bring it around, just go straight into that edge, meets it, and then very lightly go across, sort of at the same level of pressure that you drew that first line. See, that looks so cute. If I cover that one, it pops out. Not in a creepy way that eyes pop out. That would, ooh. All right, and do the same thing on this side. This will actually cover up some of my messy sketching as well, which is always good. There. Fantastic. I actually have a really annoying bit. I'm going to test this rubber out. Oh, mate, it was pretty good. I'm still not relying on it, though. Okay. Actually, that reminded me, though. At this point, if you've got your rubber with you still, I mean, if you haven't lost it, sort of really, really carefully, and like this would be easier with very thin rubber, try and rub out as many of those marks and guidelines that we put in there before. It's going to be really hard in the eyes. Probably should have thought of that. When you do the whites of the eyes, like the perfect ovals that you start with, it might be a good idea to get rid of any lines and guides that go through it at that point, because it's not going to matter too much if you mess up that guide, because you can just draw it on again. So yeah, just rewind the video, and as long as you weren't following along, you'll be fine. Jeez, I made a bit of a mess. This is a pretty good rubber. I didn't buy this rubber. I think I stole it from a friend at D&D. Whoopsie daisies. All right. Oh no. Ah, jeez.
5 hours later.
Don't smudge it. Be careful not to smudge it. If you're gonna wipe it with your hands, just be super careful. Smudges destroy lives and dreams and stuff. Oh, I speak from personal experience. Okay, fix up anything you've screwed up. See, this here is the exact reason that most of my pictures still have sketchy lines under them. I freaking missed it. Heckin' heck. Mustard and potatoes. Oh, come on. I will fight you. There we go. Okay, I think I finally got rid of most of the guides. Back to the tutorial. All right, so above the nose, I like to do a couple of little lines. I'll do like 1 or 2 smaller lines, then a longer one, and then I'll sort of make them smaller again. See how cute that is? I don't know why, it's super cute. Sometimes I'll do it on the other sides of the eyes as well, just like 2 lines. My old housemate, she told me that because I used to do this on literally every picture, that was like my signature. It was basically every picture had to have the 2 little lines. I don't know why, it's just super duper cute. We're gonna add a bit more shading. So from this corner, I'm just gonna bring it around. Because your cat's facing this way, we're just gonna say that the sun or the lamp or whatever lighting in the room is over here. And from this point forward, nobody's allowed to tell me that I'm doing it on the wrong side, because actually I'm really bad at that. I just can't remember. I'm just like, shading goes everywhere. At this point, the most important place to do shading, because we've started it, is the inside of the ears. Because these actually are dark abysses that go on forever, you're gonna want to sort of follow the shape that you've done here, but make it a little more extreme. Bring it around a bit, because the hole is about in the middle, and just color it in ever so lightly. Do it a bit on this side, but because we said the sun or lighting is coming from this side of the picture, we'll make it a lot thinner, just do a lot less of it. Excellent. On the bottom of the fur, just gonna do a bit of shading as well, just some zigzags, just at the bottom. I don't know why, I just felt like it. That's about feeling things. I'm gonna do a little bit over here as well, but it's only gonna be at the bottom of the face, not up the side, because you know, the sun's over here. Gotta respect that guy. Alrighty. Now those who know this character know that her normal fur is a different color to this fur right here on the chest. So I'm just gonna do some really light lines here to sort of differentiate. I would avoid, if it's not a really, really extreme color change, I would avoid coloring in the face with a grey lead pencil. If you're doing colored pictures, obviously go ahead, use your colored pencils to do that, but avoid doing it too much with this if it's not an extreme color, because it doesn't look as nice, it doesn't look as clear and concise, and it's cute. All right, it's cute as it is. For the bandana, however, that is a bit more of an extreme color change, and because the cat itself is all white here, and the bandana is an accessory, I want it to stick out a little bit more, sort of like how the eyes do. They sort of draw your attention. So I'm just going to do a light zigzag, I don't know what the technical term is, to just colour in the whole dang thing. Just go over those lines again, because they died from all of my erasing. And I'm going to do a bit of shading around that as well. So literally just following the shape that it has already, that you put there, because you're so talented. Not talented, you're skilled. You're learning, you're honing your skills. Beautiful, and I love it. Do some more on those little lines on the inside, because they're like material being pulled taut. Is that the right word? So I mean that can be a little shady, just because it's like rolls in the fabric. I keep changing what I'm calling things. Excellent. She looks freaking adorable. The only thing that's really missing now, oh hang on, I'm gonna do a bit of shading on the side of the nose too. The only thing that's missing now that I've fixed this, is a tail. That is what is missing. She doesn't need a body. There's like a waffle here or something. That makes sense to people who know who this is. I would avoid making the top of the tail too fluffy. I should really bare bones this, not just go straight into it. This is a fluffy cat, so she has a fluffy tail. So I'm just going to do a general wormy shape. That sort of, it gets thinner as it goes. That is the wormy shape. That is the wormy shape of the tail. Yeah, as I was saying, with weeaboo tails, I would avoid making the top of the tail too fluffy. So stick to 1 or 2 little fluffs. But the real fluff should be at the bottom of the tail. You know how cats' tails are super brushy down the bottom, especially if it's a furry cat? Here's another picture of my cat Zelda. She has a very fluffy tail. So you should really just stick the fluff to the bottom of the tail. We'll do some stuff. I'm doing this backwards. It's super weird. Sort of bring it all to the point. So all of the fluff is pointing towards the point of the tail. Whether it's sticking this way, whether it's folding that way, you know, it's all coming back together. That was terrible. Lines like this should also usually follow the same shape / rule. Okay, this character also has a white undertail, so we're just gonna do a light thing where I follow along the same shapes. This is genuinely looking pretty sweet. Alright, this is my only other tip for this evening, unless I think of another one. Always love your art. Okay, this is important, especially if it's old art. I'll go back and look at my old art and I'll be like, hey, I can draw better than that, but I was freaking proud of that at the time and it was beautiful. And you should always be like that about all your art, honestly, especially if you liked it when you made it and you were proud of it and you showed it to everybody. You should always be proud of that because those are the steps that lead you to where you can get, basically. And yeah, and just draw all the time, really. That's the best advice that I can give. I just gave another damn tip. All right. She's looking pretty much set, actually. I'm pretty happy with this, especially since I didn't test it at all before I told you I knew how to draw it. To draw it. I was lying. So yeah, this is my picture. This is it. You're gonna want to sign it because you're an artiste. Yeah, this is how you draw. That's how you draw a cat. And then you draw it 50 million more times, and then you get really good at it. And you can draw them all the time from scratch whenever you want, and it doesn't take you 50 million hours. Oh wow, I've been going for an hour. So yeah, I hope you liked this video, and I hope you would like to see more like this. Oh jeez. Because, I mean, not to brag, but I can draw more than cat faces. I don't actually even draw cats that often anymore. But point is, if there is something that you would like to see or ask how to draw, especially if it's like a cartoony type thing, not like physical objects. I'm no good at drawing, I don't know, scissors or bottles, but if there is something that you would like to see from me, whether it's eyes, hands, faces, humans, whatever, just tell me in the comments below, and we'll see how we go. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I hope that this has been remotely educational. Bye.